Supreme, and I mean to be the dream of this. Everybody know that I'm scandalous. Feel that? Pop, pop, pop. Make them drop, drop, drop. Pop, pop, pop. Make them drop, drop, drop. Make it feel. Down the drain. We already want it here. If you want that, I'm in the room. We already want it here. Pop, pop, pop. Make them drop, drop, drop. I got the good love, girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. I got the good love, girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Lord, if I girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. I got the good love, girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Lord, you fine. My kind of rubber duck wit. Get no running here, but baby, can you handle this? You got that good love, girl. You wanna get hesitate? Don't debate, can't wait to slap it. Good love. The daddy, work the back like massage. Nuts flat. Let the boss take charge. Hard as arithmetic. Sick thing on my mind. You know, hard buster. All the time. I got that good love, girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. I got the good love, girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know. Girl, you didn't know.
I think we gonna make some money off this.
Keep it real.
I think we gonna
Just keep it real.
This is for y'all real people out there. It's for my people, I'm coming from the dirty side. I'm coming from the dirty side. Now y'all fakers, y'all busters. We keep it real. Y'all
Just keep it real.
You know what I'm saying? Keep it real. To all you punk ass motherfuckers
Just keep it real.
that out there pretending like they real, and they just some punks. Everybody quiet, please. Quiet, please. Bo. Hey, Bo. Roll another one up, man. If you want to know the truth,
I'm stressed. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. So stressed.
what my folks?
You wanna know what's next? I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Too much stress. So much stress. to put
Throw
my
your
chest.
hands up. Yo, dog, did you shoot these motherfuckers?
Yo, put down the gun, man. Put down the gun. What's next?
Pulling none of my raps out. No, I can't. Put it on the dance track and make these people dance. Not the 300. No, I can't. Think y'all understand what you're working with and what you're gonna get back? Do what I wanna do. Show you who. Smoke my cigarette to death. Because the rip I roll. Show who's in control. If you wanna do it, everything's allowed. But I'm stressed.
Welcome, fellow Kryptonians, to today's live stream session. Today is going to be the start of our weekly Monday crypto sessions, where we continuously will provide value by sharing our weekly analysis and expectations for the upcoming week. Please take a moment to have a look at the disclaimers. These live stream sessions are only for educational purposes. We are not financial advisors in any way. So every trade you take based on the ideas shared on the live stream are your own responsibility. That being said, let's continue to the session itself and have a look at the charts. Alright guys, since a few weeks ago, Bitcoin has finally been able to break out of its consolidation phase, right? The moment Bitcoin started tumbling from the 50k area, where the most recent, give me a minute to clear up some stuff, where the most recent demand was being broken by this order block here. An order block, which I mean by that, is an accumulation of hidden orders that we can see on the chart but not really see on the order book itself, right? We can see an accumulation of orders being taken place right here before we saw a large up move to the upside. And whenever the market comes back, it triggers those hidden orders, creating some type of line of defense, as we like to call it. Call it support, call it an order block, call it whatever you want, but basically an accumulation of orders that's basically protecting price. The thing is, the more it gets tapped, the weaker it becomes. Because a zone with a lot of hidden orders, those hidden orders are getting soaked in. Whenever those hidden orders are getting soaked in, then eventually it gets broken. The wall gets weaker, the support gets weaker, and whenever we break through, we generally, as of the laws of supply and demand or the laws of trading order flow, we go revisit the next level of defense. And the next level of defense on the weekly was pretty low. As you can see right here, there was a large order block, at least this last candle before the up move, that was defending us. Multiple times we got a wick into here, we got a second wick into here, and we got a few pushes. The moment we started breaking through, the market likes to revisit the next line of defense at lower prices. The next line of defense in this case is this big order block right here. On the weekly, it's a fairly large one. If you take this entire zone, which I like to do usually, take the entire accumulation session, highlight it, and put it to the right. So this is where usually I can expect the next accumulation to take place or the next rebound to take place. If this zone is a little bit too large for you, which is kind of is, because we can see Bitcoin has a range from 28k all the way up to 40k, which is a $10,000 range to be looking for an entry. It's fairly large. In that case, we can always go down to a smaller time frame and highlight where the beginning of the move really came from. And that's where I saw this accumulation box right here. The market where the market was fairly indecisive, the moment where the market was correcting, but where at some point in time was indecisive, it didn't really not know what to do. Are we going down? Are we going up? And then we saw a clear, decisive answer and a clear breakout to the upside. Boom. That started the wave up. Okay. This might seem important from the past, and this might not seem important anymore right now, because we are trading right here. We aren't trading anymore right here. Okay, the move already happened, but the move that happened back then is fairly important for the future, because when we revisit this level, the beginning of the move where everything happened, where Bitcoin clearly decided to go from 30k all the way up to 65k, is a fairly important move. Because that means at 30k there was a very high amount of demand driving prices up. It takes a lot of money to get Bitcoin all the way from 30k to 65k. That money isn't just from retail traders or people like us. It's usually from large institutions, maybe even banks, maybe normal institutions. We don't know. We just know there was a lot of money involved by making the price a rebound from 30k to 65k. That money is highly likely still to be interested in this area. Those people that didn't get in will probably still be looking to buy Bitcoin at 30k. So this for me becomes a very important area where I'll be looking for a buy once I see the necessary confirmations inside the zone. The zone, which I also like to call the POI, which is short for the point of interest. Or just the same thing like an order block. In this case, let's call it a bullish order block. Because we can also have order blocks to the downside, but then we call them bearish order blocks. We can also call them demand zones. When you look on the internet, you see a lot of different naming for these zones. You might even see them being called the institutional candle, the fuck you candle, the point of interest, the bullish order block, the demand zone, etc., etc. But these generally all mean the same thing. We can also refer them as just fairly simple support and resistance. In this case being support. Although do not confuse this support zone with a general term, a general support zone that retail traders use, namely the highs and the lows. A supply and demand zone, sometimes fairly similar, but a lot of times also highly different to each other. But this will become more and more clear the longer these sessions continue and the longer you will be following us at Artis Academy, and especially our crypto sessions. Okay, so basically, that being said, the market came multiple times inside this area, from here to here fairly quickly, because as you can see, there's not a lot of demand in this area. But there was a lot of demand because here we saw a large price up. The same theoretical knowledge we use right here is also evident in this area. There was also a large move originating from this area right here that was pushing price up from 50k to like 65k, which also needed a lot of demand, which also created a lot of orders. People or price tapping in this area is also triggering those orders. Whenever this order block fails or whenever this zone fails, we generally go revisit the next one, and then we come all the way down here, and is also the reason why we took such a sharp downfall from 50k all the way to like 30k in just only a few matter of days. All right. Now, as long as we don't break this area, as long as we are not trading in this area yet, we have no reason to believe that we are looking for a short. The moment we would be looking for a short is up here, when these zones are failing, and when this zone gets broken, then you might be looking for a retest at a previous bearish order block. In this case, however, when we are trading this low, it's time to be looking for buys, both on a trading perspective or on an investment perspective, right? Because we have two different things. You can either be trading on the spot market. The spot market is what we refer the investment market, where people are looking to buy low and sell high. But you can also look at the futures market, where we are trading with contracts or trading with leverage, where we can trade both ways of the market, whether it's going up or whether it's going down. Okay, but because we are looking to the upside on this, it doesn't really matter if you're trading on the futures market or you're trading without leverage on the spot market. That means just by buying something on Binance or on Coinbase or on Bitfavo or any of the exchanges out there, right? Then when we are getting into that zone right here, we are usually looking for confirmation, looking for breakouts. Okay, a breakout where we can see, okay, the market is gaining strength and we are catching it on the higher low. Generally, it doesn't mean that price comes into a POI or in a demand zone. It will hold. It's also possible price just doing this, and then we will have a rebound, tricking a lot of retail traders into like, okay, the zone is succeeding. Everything is looking all right. Everything is looking good. Let's all step in for a trade. And then eventually come to the conclusion that like, fuck, what happened? Was this manipulation? No, you just jumped the gun too quickly, because you also don't want to be catching a falling knife. Then what we are doing is, at some point in time, prices come into this one, into the POI, and then starts like accumulating for a little bit, and we see a break of structure. We see the market gaining strength instead of the market making these lower highs, which we see for quite a long while. It's right now changing trend and creating a higher high, also quite possibly higher lows. So we know we're trading inside an order block, which is kind of bullish, and we have a break of structure. So generally that means we are looking for a higher low. That higher low, at least we at Artis Academy, or at least that I do, will also be more confirmed with a break of structure on the correctional wave. So what I do is generally, when we have a POI and prices are coming into the POI and we have a break of structure, that means I am looking for a trade to the upside on a higher low, with something like this, for example, to the upside, right? Catching it on the higher low. But this is usually on one time frame. In this case, this is the daily time frame. What I like to do is to reconfirm my trade even more, is go to a lower time frame and also look at the break of structure at the correctional wave. I know I'm expecting a higher low. I know I'm looking for a buy. That's already confirmed. But then the last step is still looking at that correctional wave. And when that happens, I'm immediately jumping in because then I got my confirmation. I'm looking to a buy to the upside. The first attempt failed a few months ago. The first attempt where I really thought we would be going up towards the 50k area, which will be explained shortly, was when the market was hitting the POI, and you will soon see why. Where we saw a break of structure and the market gaining a lot of strength to the upside right here. Technically, this had every confirmation there was to be expecting a higher low and to the upside. However, in my case, it could be there are multiple reasons why it didn't hold. Maybe because of technicals, maybe we just had bad luck. But in my case, I like to point out fundamentals. We don't know what's going to happen in the market, and fundamentals at that point in time were pretty bearish. We saw technical confirmation, we saw strength picking up in the market, but then Elon Musk and Tesla namely made a statement that they won't be accepting Bitcoin anymore. They will not be selling it, but they will not be looking into accepting Bitcoin at that point in time. That was a pretty bearish statement, and the whole community online out of crypto Twitter or other communities based on cryptocurrency were all in like panic mode, fear, greed, all the emotions. They were like, fuck, what happens right now? Tesla is such a big institution, Elon Musk such an influential person. When he says like Bitcoin is too expensive, it's not green energy, it creates an effect on the market. And this attempt right here failed. Technically, you would also be able to prevent this trade because when we go down and we have the break of structure, remember what I was looking at after the break of structure? And when I'm looking at this in the POI, okay, I got my break of structure. I'm looking at the higher low. But this higher low, I also will be looking at seeing if there's a break of structure inside the higher low or inside the correctional wave. So basically what I'm doing right here is going to the 4 hour and see is there on this wave, because I know I want to be entering at this wave right here. Is there a break of structure happening right here? And now we have these multiple attempts, lower high, lower high, lower. The break of structure never happened, so the correctional wave, even though it was the last step of our confirmation, it didn't really happen. So that means first failed attempt. Does that mean we have to stop looking for a trade? It's the number one mistake people can make. Usually people say like, okay, the attempt failed, I made a loss, or I didn't get into a trade because it failed and it didn't meet my confirmation. We're probably seeing lower prices. No, it doesn't mean that an attempt failed, that you should completely be ignoring the trade, completely be ignoring your bias. It just means we will have to take a look at the next attempt. Okay, so this right here, we will remove all of this. And this is where our next attempt comes in and was successful. Right now we see another downward wave. The POI still intact because it never got broken. The demand zone is still there. So all of a sudden we see prices going down, go down, creating these lower highs. And then primarily right here, we see another sign again. We'll remove this for visually, to make the chart visually attractive again. We'll remove some stuff. But right here, we see the market, instead of doing like this, we see the market, break a structure. Right here, it's making the first time a higher high again, after inside the POI. So I'm like, okay, this might just be another correctional wave again for the upside. So what do we do in our last step? We have the break of structure in our POI, in our demand zone, right here. So we are looking again and again at the correction right here. So we have this. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Then we have our highs again, because now we want to catch the correctional wave. I don't want to overcomplicate things, so actually I'm looking at the supply zones, and the supply zones are the bearish order blocks, but these are fairly similar as a lower high, because usually I'm looking at the last candle or the last few candles, highlighting the order blocks. But to make things easy for most people, I will just talk about higher highs and higher lows right now. So we have, let's just make this a little bit smaller, okay, to see what we are doing right here. We see a lower highs, and then the last point of resistance was right here, the breaker. And then it was we have a full confirmation. Full confirmations are met. Okay? Full confirmations are met. It's a very good thing because that means the market has another shot at going to the upside. If it wasn't be able to break this thing, then things wouldn't be looking very good right now. Then it would be possible we would be testing this one, but this being a supply zone, maybe rejecting this one and eventually break to the downside. But once this becomes a breaker, an order breaker, as I like to call it, because this right now is a bearish order block, but then it becomes an order breaker. Once this is being broken, we can expect another uptrend. And that means our entire bearish stance is being invalidated, is being removed, and we're looking at the entire buy. The days after this, especially on the 4 hour, we saw the price really rallying very, very strongly. Okay? And then basically what we can expect is whenever prices are really rallying very strongly to the upside, it just generally doesn't just leave it at that. We very rarely see prices going all the way up with this high of an impulse and then go down after all. No. After an impulse, we see a correction. And the next correction, generally always, or at least 90% plus of the cases, end up in another impulse. And then if you're still not in a trade yet, if you have been waiting for a long time, could always, or just looking for a re-entry or another entry, it's our job to 4 hours. We see the market still respecting the higher lows, making higher highs, and then for the first time we see another correctional wave again. This correctional wave, same analogy, same strategy. We highlight the important bullish structure, namely the order blocks in the zone. There's also a small one right here, but this one got invalidated when it broke. There are just a few ones very close to each other, but there's a small order block right here. And what do I mean by order block? Again, the origination of the move. There's also a lot of demand in this area, but this one was likely caused by the demand in here. Okay, a lot of people were willing to buy Bitcoin at around 37, 38k. We jumped up, hitting the market again, but right here, what's the difference? We are also breaking structure after hitting the POI. Remember what I talked about this one right here in our demand zone? We are breaking structure after the POI, so we got our confirmation on the 4 hour for re-entry, and then we would like to call it on the higher low because we are expecting a higher low right now. On the long term, we see we're in an uptrend. On the short term, we see, oh, this is a downtrend. But we also want a downtrend to change in an uptrend. And when this happens, like, okay, this is turning into an uptrend right now. The longer time frame was already in an uptrend. So right now we have two confirmed uptrends. The lower time frame is uptrending and the higher time frame is uptrending. And then it's like, boom, to the upside, where the trade set up on the previous side, but below the previous order block. And then whenever you see fit. Or at least target that I have in mind, which is at around 50k, or at least close to it. Okay. Of course, that's how we got here. That's a confirmation how we got here. That doesn't mean what you should be doing right now. Right now on the daily, let me just remove some stuff again to make the chart visually attractive again. We can still see Bitcoin being very resilient, very powerful, very bullish. The thing, however, is I expect Bitcoin to continue rallying between like 48k and 50k. That's the area that hasn't been tested yet. Remember what I was looking for? Whenever we see a sharp reaction to somewhere, whether it's to the upside or the downside, that's an area where there's a lot of sell pressure or buy pressure. Because at some point in time we saw prices rallying quite hard or really selling off into the downside direction, which means there's a lot of sell pressure in here. A lot of people are willing to sell Bitcoin at 50k. Crazy, right? That same thing might happen again. So this becomes a POI, but a POI for the opposite direction. Or not anymore a demand zone, because this was a demand zone for a buyer's area. But this right now is a supply zone, the opposite of a demand zone. Here the supply is bigger than the demand. And here the demand is bigger than the supply. Okay, so this becomes a POI, a supply zone, or just in general a seller's area. So we have to be very careful when prices are rallying into this area. We aren't there yet, so we might still see some bullish price action, especially seeing the candle we are painting right now, which is generally a good sign, also a good sign for alts, which I will talk about very soon. But first Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the leader of the pack. Whatever Bitcoin is doing, altcoins are doing. There's a lot of confluence with Bitcoin and altcoins, and it's also because the value of altcoins is derived from the Satoshi value or the BTC value. As most of you people might know or might not know yet, Bitcoin exists out of 100 million Satoshi. It's just like a euro and a dollar consisting out of like 100 cents. Like 1 euro is equals 100 cents. And the same thing with Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin is actually 100 million Satoshis. It's also an answer for the people who are asking like, how can Bitcoin ever become mainstream? Are we all going to pay with 0.00001 Bitcoin or what? Am I going to buy a t-shirt with like 1/10 of a Bitcoin? No, of course not. Whenever Bitcoin would actually become an acceptable payment method, not saying it will, but if it would ever become, and if we would ever get there, people will likely just be paying with like, okay, that's 10 Satoshis, or that's like 15 Satoshi, or 25 Satoshi. No one will be talking about, this is like a 0.0005625 Bitcoin, of course. So that's an answer for that, just a little bit on the side. After we're hitting the POI, then, but that won't be for today, because we aren't there yet, but that won't be for today's session, but after hitting the POI, depending on what we see happening inside the seller's area, we might be willing to change our bias and then go to the downside because we had the breaker structure. Our most recent demand failed. It failed to push prices above the supply. Remember, it doesn't mean this is a supply that won't be broken. This can definitely be broken, but we don't have evidence for that yet. It could also be completely valid and drive prices even lower than we are right now. Okay, so whenever we're going up, we will probably automatically have a reaction in this zone anyway. Even if we might be breaking through this zone, an order block area generally always gives us a reaction. This reaction leads to a new higher low right here. The previous low is right here. So it doesn't mean that we see sellers stepping in, that you need to immediately expect price are going all the way to the downside. No, it might still be painting a higher low and then testing the high again, testing the order block again, and then breaking through. But depending on what we see, the demand might break, and whenever demand breaks, then the opposite happens and supply is likely to be hold. And we are looking more at seller's area because then we have a downtrending bias. Right now it's still an uptrending bias because we have no reason or no evidence to believe that Bitcoin is stopping its run right now. One, we are not hitting the POI yet. And two, on the short-term momentum, we have no signs at all that Bitcoin is declining in its upward trend, okay? If you would be looking for a trade right now, for day trading perspective, or if you would be looking at evidence in the market where price could potentially reverse, we have to take a look at this order block, or namely this one. This is a fairly important order block on the 4 hour, which I am looking at, where prices might again be able to rebound. If Bitcoin would be able to tumble right here, then it's highly likely that Bitcoin will find support in this area, and whenever it breaks a structure, it might be able to continue its uptrend, just like right here. Okay, make a structure to the downside and then changing its structure to the upside, following the higher time frames and then going up again. Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking for right now. Of course, I'm still in the trades from way down here, but you guys, or at least newcomers on this call, won't have any they won't have anything to do with the information that I've been giving right here. Right now we can only look at what the market is doing right now, right? And providing value for the people that are looking at trades, or for the people that are just getting or looking for educational information, and yeah, basically want to do something with the market as of today and not as of yesterday or the day before yesterday, right? So right now this becomes a new POI, a new point of interest, where I see prices rallying to the upside, especially if like the 1 hour, because right now we're on the 4 hour, but especially if, for example, the 1 hour would be doing this on a lower time frame and changing its momentum. Because the moment Bitcoin is going to correct to this area on a lower time frame, it will be downtrending. Okay, You won't see this right now, but right now this is only a small correctional wave, right? But I can assure you, once you start to zoom in this area, you will see a downtrend, for example, or maybe even go to the 15 minutes. And if you zoom in right now, how does this look? This is a clear downtrend, right? We see the market going in an uptrend, healthy higher highs, healthy higher lows, but this is a clear downtrend. And when I'm looking at this, I don't have any reason to be looking for a buy after all, because I only know what I'm doing on this particular time frame. Got a question? Sorry, only saw it today. What is the difference? I got a little bit of a problem with the chat. Okay, wait, I can move my chat a little bit higher. Okay. What is the difference between correctional wave and break of structure, please? The correctional wave is actually the wave after a break of structure, because that's already when we have our bias. Whenever a break of structure happens, generally like this, let's see we are going up, we're going down, and let's say we are looking for a trade, and whenever the market is, for example, I'm gonna try to paint this as clear as possible, is going up, at some point in time the market is gonna start correcting, right? And it's gonna paint structure. It's gonna paint structure. Beautiful lower high and lower low structure. So this is just a correctional wave, right, of this wave. But it's also creating structure. Okay, so we have structure and we have a correctional wave from the large uptrend we are creating, okay, on the higher time frames. Whenever we see the break of structure, like right here, that means structure is being broken. I am already biased to the upside. I know I'm expecting a buy. That does not mean I'm going to buy blindlessly. We want to buy at wholesale prices, not at retail prices. A lot of retailers are buying immediately after the break of the high because they're expecting something like this. That doesn't always happen, and a lot of the times, more than not, it doesn't happen at all. So this right now is a fairly inefficient method and a way of entering your trade, just because we had the break of the high, while the demand and the up wave clearly originates from right here. So instead of looking at a buy immediately after having the break of structure, I am waiting, because I'm expecting a higher low to be made, I am waiting on the correctional wave of this break of structure. The break of structure happens first, and right now it's gonna create a correctional wave. And what I mean by correctional wave is gonna need to get a little bit of the price back from this upward trend. Price is going up, so eventually it's gonna start coming down again. But I know this will likely end up in a buy. And this is the correctional wave. And then this is doing a break of structure again, so I know I'm expecting a higher low. I just don't know where is this higher low gonna be formed. Okay? If you have like this, and you have the break of structure, how do you know where the market will correct? We don't. So basically, this wave that is coming down again, we want to analyze this wave to get the buy, because we know I'm looking for a buy. I have the break of structure right here. And on a higher time frame, this will be just a normal correctional wave, but on a lower time frame, this wave right here will actually be looking like normal structure again. And then also doing this. Okay? It's like right here again, like I thought, just gonna remove some stuff. I don't want to remove everything, so I will do this manually. But basically, as of the example of Bitcoin before, to Sola, or whatever your name is, basically right here, we saw the market breaking structure. So I'm expecting a higher low in this case, but I don't know where the market will end on the correctional wave. This will be a correctional wave, but it's our job to be looking at the correctional wave and seeing the break of structure on the correctional wave again. Okay, and whenever this happens, and that happened right here, we have the break-in structure, or just short for BOS, which stands for break of structure. And then we have our confirmation, because the first confirmation was also a BOS right here. So we have two BOSes. The first break of structure, validating our POI, and the second break of structure, validating the correctional wave. So that's the same thing what I'm doing. This right now is right now going to correct, and when this corrects right now, actually this is already showing our bias. We already have higher lows, higher highs, especially on the daily. We can clearly see the market low, higher low, and we'll probably be creating another higher low again. But then we will be looking at the correctional wave, and whenever this breaks structure again, we can get in the trade and we can take it to the upside, especially if we see something like this. There will be many more examples on the other charts, because on Ethereum and Ripple they have basically been acting like textbook trades last couple of days. But into the POI there's generally no reason, and especially looking at 4 hour, there's no reason to be bearish just yet. Okay, but this is definitely a POI which I'm looking for. To be looking for a trade, if you would be day trading, for example. If you are swing trading, then you would be likely already in the trade. I'm lately more of a swing trader because swing trading gives us a lot of more free time. And some people like to say, yeah, traders, we have all the time in the world, and traders are living the life, living on the beach, analyzing a chart for 5 minutes. Don't kid yourself, those misconceptions aren't true. A trader needs to spend a lot of his time at charts, especially if he's day trading. It's not like just like going to the beach and spending 5 time at a chart and just making money all of day, right? Those are marketers. Those are people that are selling the dream. Thanks to you. Whenever you're day trading, you're probably behind your desk all day long. Swing trading, however, also takes some time, but it's less time intensive, right? We're looking at the entire move. That also means there can be a time where you're gonna be able to find no single trade at all in a single day or in a single week. Bitcoin has been consolidating for a long time now on a daily time frame, so it took a lot of time to be looking for this wave. But when this wave happened, it took a few weeks, but when it goes, right? We're looking at the whole movement, on the entire movement, the movement that gives us the most amount of profit possible. But from a day trading perspective, this is the POI you want to be looking at. And after having confirmed the trade on the 1 hour on the correctional wave, that's going to be formed soon, then you will be looking at something like this, with like a stop loss below the order block, and then with a target you see fit, maybe to like 50k right there, right? So somewhere along the lines like right that. That's on Bitcoin's perspective. Ethereum's perspective, also the same thing. Ethereum also beautifully, guys, is very close to becoming our POI as after my last target. Ethereum also a very beautiful example of why it reversed. You can clearly see highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. The first break of structure happened right here. Then we have the correctional wave, and the correctional wave is also breaking structure. So the market right now, up and then boom, it really flew off. It really left the station. Okay, 4 hour wise, we kind of now have the ideal setup, although it's getting fairly close to our sell area, so we have to take a bit of a caution. But we have a small order block right here where prices can continue. Price have been on the 4 hour, have been correcting a little bit, and have right now been breaking structure. So it's highly likely, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, that you will be able to look for a trade on Ethereum soon. Oh, excuse me. To the upside. Although keep in mind, guys, that this is more of a high risk trade. Why? I would fairly prefer setups like this, setups like here, because we are far away from our ending target. Okay, there's a big daily order block right here, which is probably going to create a sell reaction. So the closer we're going to get towards our destination, towards our intended target, the more risky the trade is going to get. Okay, so Ethereum is so and so fairly close to our target. My ending target was 3.2k, and we're already at 3.1.40k. So it's getting more and more risky. Ripple, on the other hand, it's really also getting quite risky. because we're also inside a seller's area, which might be evidence to the downside. Rune, however, is something I like. Rune, for example, is another altcoin which I'm fundamentally biased at. I like them on a fundamental level. I also like them on a technical level. Rune right here, currently is creating beautiful structures, higher highs, higher lows, and on the 4 hour has created a break of structure right here again. So this is the area right now I am fairly interested in to be looking for a new trade setup, especially if Bitcoin is going to continue its way towards 50k. So when we get this right here, and we can get a nice trade going on to take Rune especially, or at least towards the $10 area, because $10 is again a psychological level, and psychological levels do work. Okay, sometimes I also like to use my order book application, where you can really see what's going on in the market. Bitcoin is looking very positive right now, as we can clearly see. Bitcoin, this is the equal distance. Yeah, we have some type of sell pressure right now, but we have a lot more buy orders on Bitcoin in the order book than sell orders. Quant also more buy orders. Ethereum kind of equal. Ethereum is having a lot of resistance. Oh, this see, the order book kind of confirms our bias. There's a lot of sell pressure at the 30.2k area. This is a refresh. Don't mind this. It will soon stabilize itself, but sometimes it refreshes itself. Rune, on the other hand, is seeing a lot more sell pressure than buy pressure soon, so Rune kind of gonna be careful about the order book. But Bitcoin in general is looking healthy on the order book. A lot more buy orders than sell orders, right? So that's something I need to take. Let's quickly take a look at how Ripple is doing on the order book. Let's say look at the Ripple XRP USDT from the Binance order book. So Ripple USDT, also some high amount of sell pressure right here, which is to be expected, right? Basically, the order book is showing us the same thing like the charts are already doing. For example, Ripple in this case, we're inside the seller's area. Keep in mind that an order book isn't foolproof. An order book is an accumulation of limit orders that's being placed right now. Whenever a whale arrives with a lot of money and he's placing a large market execution, then he will soak up current limit orders in the order book. So an order book can change at any moment in time, but they do give a fairly decent representation of how the market is looking right now at this exact minute. Okay, so I'm being very cautious with Ethereum right now because we're entering a small seller's area. We will be looking, or we will be able to look for a sell setup once Ethereum comes into this one and creates a breaker to the downside. Remember what I've been doing to the upside? The same thing happens when we are looking, for example, for a break of structure, correctional wave, doing something like this. We can look at the charts from the same perspective to the other side of the market. Right now the market is doing this and the market can be doing this, but once the market is doing this and it's having a break of structure, then remember, then we will be looking at a correctional wave towards the downside, because then this, or the upside move on Ethereum, will be the correctional wave for a short. And whenever this, for example, breaks structure, then this will be your short setup. So make sure you don't marry a bias. Oh, this is a long, for example. Sorry, need to look at it. So make sure you don't marry the bias on your charts. We can trade both from a long perspective and both from a short perspective. So this is something I would be looking at if something like this would present itself. We don't know that right now. Every day we're trading, we're getting more and more information. Okay. Today we are trading based on the information we have right now. We are not trading on the information of tomorrow. Whatever happens tomorrow, and we will take action according to the information we know that exact day. So with Ethereum right now, no reason to be bearish just yet, although our first sign, we are getting fairly close to a target. And why is this a target? Because this is a seller's area. A lot of people were looking to sell Ethereum in the past at this area right now, so this will become a reason for people to start looking for sells as well. So we do have to take caution inside this area. but it might still be that we're going to break through this because we have a lot of bullish fundamentals on Ethereum. We have Ethereum 2.0 launching very soon. We have the London hard fork a few days ago being launched on Ethereum. And the London hard fork on Ethereum basically made sure that Ethereum is going to be able to be burned right now. For example, if you look at Ethereum burned as of today. See, $30 million in Ethereum already burned just 2 days after EIP, and this is already in an article from 2 days ago. So basically that means right now, 4 days after, Ethereum is burning more and more Ethereum away. So basically that's a good sign because the less supply we have, the higher the token price, okay? You have to look at it like an iPhone. What if there are 10 iPhones in the world and each iPhone is priced $1,000? What's gonna happen when 5 of those iPhones are getting burned, just basically getting destroyed, and there are only 5 iPhones left? Those 5 remaining iPhones will highly likely go up in price because there's less supply and the demand is the same. There are still an equal amount of people willing to buy that iPhone. The stock is just getting lower and lower. There's not an iPhone anymore for everybody. If we have 10 buyers and 10 iPhones for sale, but if those 10 buyers remain and 5 iPhones are getting lost or getting burnt or getting destroyed, then we have 10 buyers with only 5 iPhones left. So what are those buyers gonna do? I fucking want one. I want an iPhone right now. But the other guy next to you is like, I also want an iPhone. So what is he gonna do? Hey, wait. To ensure I'm getting an iPhone, I am willing to pay $1,000 to $100 instead of $1,000. The normal value of an iPhone. He's gonna pay more. And if he's gonna pay more, the other guy says like, hey, I really want one too. No, I'm gonna pay more. And then we basically have a battle between buyers and sellers. Just charts battle like we see on the charts right now. Basically supply and demand, order flow, and then price goes up. So in the long term, I am extremely bullish on Ethereum. And I personally don't think none of us have enough Ethereum right now. Ethereum in a few years time, from my point of view, and I've hardly been wrong about this, especially about the technology. I especially think Ethereum is easily gonna hit the 10K area and even more than that. We aren't at that right now. We might still be able to correct, and we still have to follow the laws of supply and demand. But 10K is definitely an area for Ethereum to be reached in the future because it's basically the future of finance. I'm even more bullish on Ethereum than Bitcoin right now. Ethereum has also been outperforming Bitcoin shortly. Let's take a look at Ethereum BTC. It's the last order flow. This was the point of interest I was looking at a few days ago. Played out soon, played out perfectly. 4 hours, I was just looking. We broke this high, which is a pretty good sign. This is a POI I'm targeting to the upside. We do see some type of bullish pressure weakening out, but we might still go to the upside and still might hit this target. But in the future, I expect Ethereum against Bitcoin to continue its trend and keep outperforming Bitcoin. So if you're ever looking to invest in Ethereum or Bitcoin, my personal preference, this is only my personal preference, remember, no financial advice, but my personal preference would go out to Ethereum any day right now. I like both of them, don't get me wrong. I like Bitcoin almost equally as Ethereum, but not totally, right? So basically I still highly prefer Ethereum over Bitcoin because Ethereum really has technology that's even more groundbreaking than Bitcoin was, even though Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency out there. Okay, so Rune definitely will be looking at a re-entry. From a trading perspective, I'm also investing into Rune for whenever Rune is going up. I'm happy, but I'm also trading it, right? We have two perspectives in the market. We trade something and we invest into something. These are fairly similar because both of them earn us a certain amount of money. But trading is trading with leverage, trading with contracts in and out, and investing is on the long term. Also, guys, a recommendation that I currently have and the confirmation that's being filled right now is KuCoin. I really like this project a lot, not because I've been an investor for a long time. I've just become very interested in them on the short term. Why? Because basically they're gonna have the technical confirmation right now. On the daily, This correctional wave saw a break of structure like a few months ago, or at least like 2 months ago, basically validating that the market is willing to go up again. And at this wave right here will be the correctional wave. We already have the break in structure. So this wave right here will be the correctional wave. So what do? We take a look at the correctional wave that's been doing right now. And whenever this correctional wave breaks, we have another uptrend. And that's basically what's been happening right now. We see a technically strong project having the confirmation. We're creating a break right now. So KuCoin is likely to keep going up right now. We also broke a psychological level like $10. No matter how you look at it, psychological levels do work. And you can see this in the order book. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, for example. Why do we see huge buy wall at 20K? Why do we see huge buy wall at 29K, at 30K, at 31K, 32K? All of them at psychological levels. Why don't we see a huge buy wall at, for example, 28.7K or 28.400K? See? Also same thing, Ripple. Buy wall at 70 cents, buy wall at 60 cents. Psychological levels do work. Okay? I think it's no different. Let's see, do we have a chart of... No, I don't think this has KuCoin support. But basically, because we broke the $10 range, $10 might right now be some type of support, which we kind of see happening right now. And this might further rally to the upside. So I'm fairly interested into KuCoin. And also because of a fundamental level, Ethereum is heavily undervalued compared to other exchanges. When we look at CoinGecko and we see KuCoin, we see an exchange token, one of the biggest exchanges out there. Yes, Binance is still bigger than them. They're not as big as Binance, but they are a fairly big exchange, and also a reputable one and a trustable one. Only sitting at the $800 million market cap. When we compare it with Binance, Binance has a 55 billion. That means KuCoin doesn't even have 1 out of 55 of the value of Binance. And right now we're seeing on Binance a lot of the regulatory crackdown. We see Binance having to comply with regulations, euro deposit being halted, euro withdrawals being halted. All the people that can't deposit money anymore on Binance, or for example are looking at alternatives, where are they going to go to? They're going to go to another exchange. And the next big exchange on the list is KuCoin. And they also launched their KuCoin community chain, and their community chain is basically something very similar like Binance Smart Chain. And for the people that don't know what Binance Smart Chain is, it's a decentralized exchange made by Binance. If you also don't know what a decentralized exchange is, like Ethereum, like Uniswap. Well, Ethereum, excuse me, that was wrong for me. Ethereum is like the network that's driving the decentralized exchanges. I'm more likely to be talking about Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap. Those are decentralized exchanges. But they have to be built on a chain. The chain is a technology. It's like the internet. If you buy a PC, you can go. The PC doesn't work without the internet. Yes, it works technically because you can still do stuff. But when you are looking on a website is a better representation. Websites can't function without the internet. And a decentralized exchange needs the same thing. It needs the technology. It needs the blockchain. And KuCoin developed something very similar like that a few days ago. But if you still don't know what I'm talking about, and if I'm talking totally Chinese to a lot of you guys, definitely follow the Friday sessions. Starting from this Friday, we will be hosting our first educational Friday sessions, our first educational Crypto Friday sessions, which at start will be pretty basic, but will continue to be more advanced in the future, right? We are basically trying to create some sort of small academy on YouTube available to anyone, where everybody can basically make their first step into the cryptocurrency space. If you already know the basics or the first sessions, then it will probably be a nice rehearsal for you all, because a lot of the stuff you will be seeing on the first session will already be known to you all. But I have to provide them, because if I have a lot of newcomers, the newcomers also need to be able to follow the newer sessions. And the more and more we continue the Friday educational sessions, the better our sessions will become and the more advanced we will get, okay? So definitely stay tuned for our Friday sessions. Share or promote these Friday sessions, because these sessions hold a lot of information that you can't find online. Okay, I see a lot of well-known public courses online available, but almost none of them hold the information from the entire crypto market. Like, I have yet to find a good course as of today that's basically going really into depth. Okay, especially if we're getting further to decentralized exchanges or getting to the play to earn markets, where you can earn cryptocurrency by playing video games, NFT markets, mining, staking, cryptocurrency lending, futures trading, not MetaTrader, but on real cryptocurrency exchanges where you trade with contracts, etc., etc. Okay, these can go pretty hard in depth. Okay, but Monday is only meant for technical sessions, live trading, and setups to identify, like KuCoin right here. KuCoin looks to be a great investment, and is poised to do well in the future. Okay, I think I'm almost at the timing I had planned for this call, so let me take a look, guys. Also, Mina Protocol, just to finish up my session as of today. Mina Protocol, I'm also fairly bullish at. I will also, in some future sessions, will also look at the fundamentals of certain projects, because that's also important for trading and for investing into cryptocurrencies. But Mina Protocol is something, a very bullish project. Right now it's having resistance because it's facing the weekly order block right here, which you only see on the daily. And whenever prices start to correct a little bit more, then you might have a new re-entry to the upside. And again, Noya as well. I really like Noya. If you have some spare time, look these projects up. If you have any questions, ask them to me next week or on the Friday sessions if we have a little bit of time left. But basically, the reason I like Noya so much is we have weekly, we know we're uptrending. We started a long or a pretty strong sell-off caused by the sell-off from Bitcoin. Daily wise, we finished up our full accumulation zone. We made those lower highs, lower lows. We broke out of it. So basically we got the full confirmation right here. So whenever, or it's highly likely that if Noya is correcting, it will create another impulse. Like I said before with Bitcoin, whenever the market is creating an impulse like this, it's generally not ending right here. Whenever there's a correction, that correction will highly likely lead to another impulse, because there's a lot. When you see an impulse like this, that means there's a lot of demand in the market, a lot of things that's driving price up. Okay, so if you see a correction right here, then I'm only gonna be interested in looking for a buy. Okay, the correction right here will end up in a buy, it won't end up in a sell. Vice versa, when we're downtrending, the correction in the market will only be to the upside, because we're looking for a further continuation for the sell-off. For Noya, for example, the correction right now will only be meant for a continuation for the buy perspective. Okay, but I don't want to make these things too complicated. I don't want to make this session too long. So guys, stay tuned. I expect you guys next week, especially if you had value from this call. Also, make sure to share it with your friends. And if you, of course, don't want to miss the future live streams or the other YouTube content we provide and have, then make sure you are subscribed and have the notifications on. Guys, I will see you next week on the Monday live sessions for the crypto analysis sessions, and I will see you on Friday on the educational sessions. Okay? Good luck and bye-bye.